Tonight, the tussle for the control of Parliament continues as the majority in Parliament has fired back at the minority, demanding proof of sabotage by the government in the withdrawal of the military protection for the Speaker.
I'm utterly disappointed in the Ghana Armed Forces, who ought to live above reproach, and utterly disappointed in the Minister for Defense and the Executive President for sanctioning such an action.
We have more from a statement released by the caucus in which they also question certain actions of the Speaker. But the minority insists the withdrawal forms part of a desperate attempt to cripple their oversight role and forcefully push through with government business.
The game is to intimidate, to frustrate, and to think that they can weaken our spirit. No, they can't. In fact, they are rather strengthening and gluing us together.
Also tonight, Deputy Land and Natural Resources Minister George Mrekuduka admits there are gaps in the illegal mining fight, as he says government is determined to completely eradicate the canker.
This canker, we may need all hands on deck. Government alone cannot fight it, as we've been touting all these years.
Details as the Ghana Water Company Limited warns the country may fall into a crisis situation if the illegal mining menace is not properly addressed. We have details of these stories and more, plus the latest in showbiz and business, as well as sports for you in this 1.5 hour package. Joy News Prime is live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, bold and credible journalism. I'm Ernest Minu. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. Let's settle for the details now. The majority caucus in Parliament has fired back at their colleagues on the other side, demanding proof of claims of sabotage by government in the withdrawal of the military protection for the Speaker, Alban Bagbin. Now, this comes in the wake of a leaked document from the Ghana Armed Forces directing the withdrawal of some 4 soldiers from the office of the Speaker because they were assigned without, quote, proper procedure. Now, the minority is claiming the move is calculated to weaken the Speaker in his persistent bid to impartially and independently steer the affairs of Parliament. Leader of the side, Haruna Idrisu, says the action is cruel and ugly. He warns that the developments could affect consensus building on the floor.
I wish to express the profound indignation and disappointment of the NDC minority in the directive by the Ghana Armed Forces and by extension the executive arm of government to withdraw the military personnel providing for the safety and security of Right Honorable Speaker Alban Bagbin. The action is not only cruel and discriminatory, but does not augur well for the unity of the state and for the stability of the republic. I'm utterly disappointed in the Ghana Armed Forces, who ought to live above reproach, and utterly disappointed in the Minister for Defense and the Executive President for sanctioning such an action. For what gain? For what political gain? It's not healthy for our democracy, and not when you are seeking to build a consensus. You engage in this show of brute force. It's ugly for our democracy. The developments are not good at all. And you expect that tomorrow you come saying that you want to build consensus? Consensus with whom? What is even more worrying is the fact that ministers of state have provided military guards and supported by soldiers, chief executive officers, even chairpersons of commission have 4, 5, 6, 7 military personnel around them. And we cannot have this for the third most important person of our republic, the Speaker of Parliament. That's cruel, that's inhumane, and that's discriminatory. We would not countenance these discriminatory actions of the executive intended to gag or intended to weaken the political minority, to weaken the political opposition, to serve what gains. The Ghana Armed Forces is a state institution, and one expects that they would know that they owe the high public officer, Right Honorable Speaker Alban Bagbin, a duty of care and a standard of care in respect of his safety and security. He is simply not ordinary, and same courtesies, privileges, and facilities that are extended to the president, the vice president, same ought to be installed for the protection of the speaker. I'm utterly disappointed.
So we'll delve more into this shortly, bring you details of the Majority Caucus statement. But there's also another development involving a member of the minority. I'm talking about Kezala Tuforsen, who is the ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament. He was in court Monday after being charged with causing financial loss to the state in the purchase of ambulances in the NDC administration. More on that. But we're learning from our court correspondent that case has been adjourned. But outside of court, the Deputy Majority Chief Muntaka Mubarak says they're learning of a series of actions lined up by government to simply frustrate the minority side.
More than vindictiveness, trying to intimidate the minority out of their difficulties. But this is not going to change anything. In fact, it makes us even more resolute. Because we know that, the game is to intimidate, to frustrate, and to think that they can weaken our spirit. No, they can't. In fact, they are rather strengthening and gluing us together. Because you will draw speakers this thing, you are bringing Tuforsen to court, you are charging Dominic Ayini because of Zuarungu market, that has to do with this assembly. You are bringing Kwesi, criminalizing him when he wrote a letter to electoral commission before he filed. You are charging the Akotia MP. You can just see the frustration. And it's so shameful that they forget that there's a democracy. And unfortunately, this is being led by so-called learned.
As far as
for how we are concerned, no, but believe me, they are rather strengthening us because now they are making us even glue together. Now we know that every one of us is in danger. So it's better we glue together. And I can tell them they can choose to withdraw all the security that follow all the 137 of us. They can choose to even take all our salary because they think they are in the executive. But believe me, it is rather going to strengthen us. But they remember, nothing lasts forever.
So the majority has responded to the minority in a statement. My colleague MFA Paul joins me via Zoom with details of the statement. MFA, I know they are asking for proof in that statement, but what are the other details?
Okay, so they seem to seek to set the record straight on some of the narrative when it comes to this particular issue. So amongst others, they want to make it clear that this is the first in history of the Fourth Republic that a speaker has had the Ministry of Defense provide military protection. And earlier, we saw a statement from Professor Michael Fay stating that he's never used the military in terms of his protection. They go on to also make public that the speaker has on many occasions been giving the Casa airplane, which belongs to the military, and helicopters to carry the speaker to his region and home village. Again, when the speaker was invited to Nigeria, the presidential jet, the same controversial jet, was placed at his disposal. They also mentioned that these facilities have not been accorded this previous speaker. So it does appear that the Right Honorable Bagbin is unappreciative of these gestures from the state. They also detail the number of protection or police or military personnel that he has at his disposal. So they say he has 4 police officers in his known residence. He has 3 police officers in his secretariat. He has 5 other policemen in and around the Speaker's office block. Any day, any time, they add. Indeed, none of the previous speakers had half of the police cover as has been accorded Right Honorable Bagbin. So it must be emphasized for the record that Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin has been served with the largest number of security personnel for his protection that none of the previous speakers had.
That is
so in the
interesting.
event that if the military insists on regularizing his security detail, how does that compromise the speaker's security is one of the key questions for them, or put him in harm's way. Part of the narrative, we've heard the minority mention that they are trying to put the speaker in harm's way, amongst others. The speaker himself has also stated that he was being put in harm's way by the, that secret letter or document that we got hold of. So this seems to set the record straight. They also talk about the Speaker of Parliament in terms of precedent. Is the third gentleman of the land, and one expects that when he's exiting the jurisdiction, he must inform the presidency ahead of time. So the speaker is the person to act as the president in the absence of the president and the vice president. So in all the many travels of the speaker in 2021, he did not find it worthy to inform the office of the president. What is the import of that is the question that the majority caucus
And that is a very interesting comment being made by the majority, Amefa, because this is completely different from the issues that are at stake, the issues of the speaker's security.
So it appears it's a bear-it-all statement for the majority caucus. Issues that have come to public and those that have not, so they are trying to address all these issues to let the public know that this is what has been done for the speaker. In spite of all the comments that have been made by the minority, that the speaker is being put in harm's way, nothing is being done for the speaker, amongst others. Interestingly, Ernest, they also go on that on January 7, 2021, in response to an invitation to ensure peace in Parliament, the military entered the grounds of Parliament. The minority caucus subsequently raised issues about the intervention of the military, whereas they had condemned the military less than 2 weeks to the January 7, 2021 incident. The speaker, they say, instructed the clerk to write to procure the services of the military for him. The paradox, they say, is worth noting, and that truth is sacrosanct. So it's a 9-point statement from the majority caucus. The last two, Ernest, if you may indulge me,
go ahead,
says that the Right Honorable Bagbin is the only speaker who was invited serving military officers to serve in Parliament. He's the only one, they say, who has invited 7 military officers to serve in Parliament. And that Parliament now has a serving colonel as the Marshal of Parliament. This, they say, has never happened in Parliament since 1957. So if, in the opinion of the Speaker, the police have some deficiency, shouldn't all of us work to cure any deficiency so detected? That's a quote. And then finally, it says, now the minority caucus statement states that the action by the military high command is politically motivated. They're quoting the minority. They're asking, what is the proof, which we were making reference to earlier? Or is it the case that they consider that since the Right Honorable Bagbin is NDC, he's there to do the bidding of NDC, and hence any critique of the speaker or any action aimed at the speaker is a critique of or action against the NDC, and therefore should be considered as being politically motivated. They also question the speaker, asking him whether he's indeed there to represent the NDC or he's there to be an independent referee or independent arbiter for that matter. But interestingly, I was hoping to see someone sign the statement, but there is no name under it. It's only on the letterhead of the majority caucus, Parliament of Ghana. That's the statement.
And I'm glad you raised that issue, because we've been making efforts to get somebody on the majority side, at least in the leadership, to speak to this, and it's been quite challenging, Amefa.
Indeed, Ernest.
Thank you very much. That's head of our security desk, Amefa Power, bringing us details of that statement released by the majority caucus. Let's do more on this. Colonel Festus Aboagye joins us on the line with some analysis on this. Colonel, I'm grateful that you could join us here on Joy News Prime. What do you make of the withdrawal and the justification that has been given so far?
Well, thanks for having me. Let me restrict myself to the withdrawal.
Very well.
And all the other related issues, around this episode. The impression I'm getting is that the system of governance is not working properly. So if the system is working properly, in the first instance, if the speaker left this jurisdiction without informing the appropriate authorities, let's say he did it, somebody should draw his attention to that and humbly remind him of the correct procedure. We should not wait until when matters come to a head, before we use that as, an argument. Now, I'm very well informed from sources close to the former Right Honorable Speaker Doa Jaho that in this Fourth Republic, this is the first time since 2021 that the Right Honorable Speaker has been given that facility of a military security detail. It's never happened. Now, why it happened? Upon the letter that the parliamentary service or whatever wrote directly to the Ghana Armed Forces is something that we must look into. I'm of the opinion that the Armed Forces is under a ministry that supervises the functions of the Armed Forces. If any NDA entity in this country needs some services from the military, especially from any arm of government, they must write to the Minister of Defense. Why that letter went directly to the armed forces, I don't know.
We cannot assume that he was in the know. We cannot assume that the minister was in the know.
Well, the document that has come as a response to this withdrawal shows that it was parliamentary service that wrote to the Ghana Armed Forces. It didn't say they wrote to the Minister of Defense. But even if they wrote to the Minister of Defense, and especially if they didn't write to the Minister of Defense, it has created a situation where the Ghana Armed Forces has now been drawn into this avoidable, chaos. So I'm of the view that the Ghana Armed Forces should not be writing to arms of government. They should write to their minister, and the minister would inform the appropriate arm of government. I have suggested somewhere that all of us are equal before the law under democracy, but we know that some of us are more equal than others. So therefore, in Akan we say, it would have been more appropriate for a military delegation to have gone to the speaker to inform him about the action that they were contemplating, rather than, writing directly under the hand of the chief of staff, which I disagree with. We have seen documents being signed by the chief of staff based on the weight of that document. And I think the chief of defense staff should have been the one who should have signed that letter. But appropriately or more appropriately, it should have been the minister.
Now we are seeing that, this is, as you rightly mentioned, this is the first time the speaker has been given military protection. But he put in this request based on what he thought was the insecurity situation in the part of the country, the northern part of the country.
And this is something that I think the political class or civilian class don't understand. There are procedures and there are mechanisms. Unless you declare a state of emergency of sorts, you cannot whimsically, capriciously be assigning the armed forces to undertake certain functions. So ordinarily, the Ghana Police Service, with the exception of the president, everybody else who requires security must be protected by the Ghana Police Service. However, if there is a situation of emergency, a security situation, whether externally induced or internally induced, based upon the state of emergency, the president by executive order can order that certain entities must be given military protection. That is the appropriate thing.
Very well.
The way in which we have seen the EC and Attorney General and certain lawyers being escorted by the military is highly inappropriate. It is not democratic.
Thank you very much.
Indeed, it undermines the Constitution.
I'm grateful that you could join us with your thoughts on this development. That's Colonel Festus Aboagye, a security analyst, joining us on this development. We'll bring you more in the subsequent bulletin. Now, Joy News is learning that the majority of the local unions within the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, are kicking against a ruling by the National Labour Commission asking their employees to return to their lecture halls. The NLC last week declared the industrial action of two teacher unions, that's UTAG and CTAG, as illegal. The commission explains that The aggrieved groups failed to exhaust the processes, hence their action could not be upheld. However, after a marathon of meetings today, Monday, Joy News is learning that there's fierce opposition within UTAG against the NLC ruling. Further checks also revealed that 14 out of a total of 15 local chapters of UTAG at the said meeting Monday voted to remain on strike. Meanwhile, the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, that's CTAG, says it will continue to engage its constituents later. Now, let's go on to the phone lines now. Kwesi Kwarteng is Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education. He joins us via Zoom. Mr. Kwarteng, I'm grateful that you could join us here on Joy News Prime. Now, the Education Minister pleaded for some more time to deal with the issues. With these developments, how much time is government asking for to resolve the matter?
Okay, thank you very much, and very good evening to you and your viewers and your listeners as well. Of course, I mean, at the level of the ministry, our approach has always been using the negotiation approach to resolve the issue that we find ourselves. It's even quite unfortunate that it got into this stage, because if you recall, prior to October 6, when the parties indeed signed a memorandum of agreement to apparently guide them on the way forward, our approach has always been that of reconciliation. And you will recall that we've been here before. And initially, when UTAG and NLC were in court and were having their own disagreement, it took the intervention of the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Sedri, to bring the parties back to the negotiation table. And we are not going to do anything different from such approach. I can assure you that as I speak with you, there are conversations behind the scenes, of course, between the leadership of the ministry, ably headed or led by the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Sedri, and the leadership of UTAG, so that at least we can all come back to have a consensus. I mean, the decisions of UTAG clearly are decisions that are within their rights. Certainly, they have made their displeasure. They've spoken about improved conditions of service, which everybody believes that is valid. I think it was the NLC that clearly said that the processes and the procedures that led to the declaration of the strike was something that was illegal. I mean, it's clear UTAG may also even have recourse to other ways of getting their grievances resolved. But I mean, like we all know, when two elephants fight in the grass, that suffers.
Absolutely.
For us, at the Ministry of Education, like the minister have already started, we will continue to engage the leadership of UTAG, so that we are able to get them to the classroom.
How advanced are the negotiations? And like you rightly mentioned, there's the grass that suffers, in this case, the students. And we are learning that the strike will bite the hardest this week, because that is when lectures are supposed to begin for many of the public universities. What is the assurance you can give them based on the conversations you've had so far? How soon can they expect their lectures back?
Yes, I have always held the view that I'm not sure lecturers are just happy going on strike. Of course, I mean, when we have such a challenge, it's just about the demonstration of leadership. And based on the precedent that we had in the past, I mean, relative to the October 6 agreement that led to the calling of the 2-week strike earlier declared by UTAG, I'm very hopeful that such conversations, the rate and the pace at which is happening, of course, behind the scenes, we are very hopeful that we'll get UTAG back to the class. But of course, I'm unable to give a definitely, because these are negotiations. And then you are unable to prejudice the dictates of the negotiations. You are unable to presume or assume what the other party is going to say. And so we can only hope that we respect the principles of the negotiations, we respect the principles of the conversations that are going behind the scenes, so that at the end of the day, we are able to get, both parties holding their consensus. And I can assure Ghanaians that that is going to be done very swiftly and rapidly.
Mr. Kwarteng, thank you for your time. That's Kwesi Kwarteng. He speaks for the Education Ministry. The Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister, George Mekuduka, has admitted there are gaps in government's fight against illegal mining, Galamsey, but he was quick to add that the government is doing a lot to fight the menace. Speaking on the Pulse on the Joy News channel, he said government is procuring speedboats and other logistics to aid in completely eradicating the illegality. Mr. Mrekudikan says government is doing a lot to fight the menace.
Thanks for the update. As you know, that just recently we commissioned Operation Hot 2 to embark on vigorous exercise to weed out these recalcitrants who are mining in our river bodies. And that hasn't stopped in any way. As I speak with you, I may not be able to share technically the security modus operandi of that, but they are on the field working. And with this canker, we may need all hands on deck. Government alone cannot fight it, as we've been touting all these years, that it's not a measure to task government to fight it. Let's see. And if we don't realize that and we continue politicking with mining in our river bodies, it will go a long way in disturbing this country. For all you know, government, after instituting the Operation Hot 2, has also instituted measures to have permanent security task force for these river bodies by getting river guards who will be supported with speedboats on our river bodies, have security checkpoints, advantage points, where they will be reporting to these security checks most intermittently, so that we unleash whatever measures we could do to arrest such this situation.
But the convener for the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Ken Ashidwe, believes the problem in the Galamsey fight is not about logistics, but the execution of the plan to eradicate the menace.
Porting these excavators into town, who are the people who are renting them for over 20,000 cedis a day. That's not small amount of money. We need to be able to unearth all of these people. And it's the reason why we would expect the state to collaborate with the media, especially the intelligence community, to be able to flash out some of these people. I remember the very early stages of Honorable Peter Amewu. There was a national security report that we got that pointed fingers to some of these people, but that did not continue. And so, Honorable Minister, those are the support that the media would require of you to be able to support them to go into the theater of, and because that's a theater of battle, a theater of a very dangerous place, to be able to provide them the cover to go into these places. The operation halts, when they are going, we should have media people embedded in there so that they can report the thing independently as it's going on. It is those things that would be able to show to citizens that we actually are serious about this, and we need the buy-in of citizens to say that we need to stop this thing. So that's been the challenge with the Media Coalition. Remember that we were supported by Star Ghana and a few other corporate bodies, and so when those funds also stopped, I can't blame the media. The media itself also was impacted very heavily by Operation Vanguard, by COVID. So the resources to be able to continue at it has been difficult. But this is about survival. So I also urge you, the media, we need to dedicate some resources behind this. And then when the media does this work as well, Honorable Deputy Minister, we need the support of the government, the duty bearers, to ensure that when we uncover some of these people, we actually punish them. And we also need the judiciary. The judiciary has also been one of the arms that have failed us. The situation where Operation Vanguard, we had only 10% of the people that were arrested being taken to court, and even a smaller part being convicted. And then you have the challenges that we had with, big wigs like Aisha Wang and all of that.
Now, a key stakeholder in the fight is the National Association of Small-Scale Miners. This association actually constituted a task force to fight the menace, but along the line, the task force folded up. Joining me via Zoom is the General Secretary of the association, Godwin Ama. Mr. Ama, thank you for joining us here on Joy News Prime. How are you reacting to the news from the Ghana Water Company that only about 60% of the water is being able to produce because of the activities of illegal small-scale miners, some of whom are your members and have been indicted?
Okay, thank you for having me. First of all, we are in the dry season. Once you are in the dry season, there's evaporation of the water bodies. So turbidity levels already, those who have polluted the river already, due to the evaporation, it becomes very difficult for some of the river bodies to flow. And the turbidity levels are also high. Notwithstanding that, the association, we had a task force, that was going around in terms of our monitoring activities as an association to ensure that there's compliance to the legal framework, that's people not working within the red zones and also working on river bodies. Along the way, the uniforms that we use, national security says, no, we cannot use those uniforms to operate because it's like a military, similar to the military uniform. So we have to fold up and go through the process. We have the new uniforms that we've gone through with the national security and then the police to ensure that those uniforms are used so that we can operate. So that's why we folded up. But we've gone through the process, and very soon we'll start somewhere, maybe by the ending of this month, the association task force will start its operation again.
Okay.
So that's why you've not seen the task force for some time now, because we are going through the process, and then the challenges that the military commander are saying that our uniform resemble theirs.
And once you start by end of March, which areas are you going to be targeting? End of this month. Once you start, which areas are you targeting, and how will the operation actually be rolled out?
Yeah, we are working closely with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and then the Minerals Commission to ensure that the speedboats and all the necessary logistics that will be needed for the fight will be able to get some from government to support what we are doing now. So we'll start with the eastern region. We are looking at the Brim River. We've looked at it with the strategy. We divided it into sections. Our first priority is to ensure that those who are working on the river bodies, who are the Chamfan operators, will be the target for the first operation. So once we go through the various segments and then we share the task force along the way, then the next phase will be the monitoring team also going round, because we have the task force and then the monitoring team working in collaboration with the Minerals Commission to ensure that those who are washing directly into the river bodies are also stopped or sanctions per the laws of the Republic. So that's what we are doing now. The challenge has been our logistical support, because members of the association are saying, look, we put so much into the task force and still we are not getting any recognition, but the issue is recognition, or whether there's recognition or no recognition. It is for the public good that the association will work and ensure that members comply, and also those who are doing the illegal mining should also be arrested and then dealt with in accordance with the law.
Now, following these developments by the Ghana Water Company, the announcement that has come in with the difficulty in treating water, there have been calls for a ban on small-scale mining. Will government be justified to place another moratorium on your activities?
I think it's not going to help, because putting a ban on their activities, there are those who are doing the illegal mining activity, and it's not the fault of the small-scale miners that people are not complying with the law. There are so many things that are causing the illegality in the system. So at the end of the day, we put, I think 2017, there was a ban, but we still are where we are, you know. So we need to work. It's not a ban that will solve it, but working together and making sure that we achieve the extraordinary, where there will be that issue of the issue of people not being corrupted. You know, people don't go through and be taking monies and also allowing the system not to work. Those are the things that we should look at. We should involve everybody. What we proposed earlier on was the community enforcement approach, so that these issues of illegal operations or illegal mining will be dealt at the community level. The community enforcement approach is a more sustainable approach. We have the Operation Hot coming in. When they come and then they leave, you know, the jurisdiction is so huge. So they will be operating at one side, then the illegal operations will also be going on at the other side. Once they move, these people come. So who then, when there is a flash, what happens next? You know, so the community involvement with the small-scale miners at the community level is what is going to help to ensure that the successes that are attained by the military is maintained. But if there's no sustainability, then at the end of the day, you don't involve anybody. It sees as a national issue without the local participation. But if we look at it as a national challenge and the participation at the local level will be used, then it will enhance the monitoring and then the enforcement of the laws at the community level.
Mr. Alma, I'm grateful that you could join us. That's Godwin Alma. He's the General Secretary for the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Anas Mino. Still to come in the bulletin, a 26-year-old man has been stabbed to death at Kotri in the Echuma in Kwanema district of the Ashanti region following a brawl in an alleged sale of narcotics. We have details after this break. Stay with us.
It's time for business. I'm Charles Ayete. The former finance minister said Tekwe is charging governments to address challenges in sectors of the economy that are driving the country's debt high. Ghana's credit rating has been downgraded from B to B minus by ratings agency Fitch, a situation that could affect the country's ability to borrow whilst interest cost rises. Let's take a listen to Mr. Tekwe as he spoke earlier on the marketplace.
There's a presumption that we are going to have a positive bailout, which means that there will be a positive outflow. Government will be paying. No. If you see it as a negative flow, which I'm not optimistic to be positive, then the deficit is 43 billion. It's not 37 billion. And therefore, your 7 billion e-levy, again, with even every optimism, is a drop in the ocean, especially when you need to finance. Okay. Let's say 40 billion. That's what we are facing because your arrears are low. So yes, we need to look, what do? We have done it in the past. You need to look at all the lines. You look at the sectors that are giving you problems, energy, financial sector, and the rest. And that is why every program we have had, has had, a fiscal element, a monetary element. Bank of Ghana has a role to play in terms of interest rates and the rest. As Doc said, that's going to be impacted, crowding and others. Sure. And then you look at the real sector, the ones that give you revenue, the ones that are giving you problems, and you have it. We have done these things in the past. But I think that, let me end by saying that, look, the World Bank, the IMF, Fitch, Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and as of 3 days ago or a week ago, Reuters, they can't all be wrong.
All right.
They are reflecting what the markets are telling us. And I think that we should listen.
The Chief Finance Officer of the Valley View University, Dr. William Sapra, is urging government to take revenue mobilization seriously in order to raise enough money to take care of rising expenditure, including interest payments. Now, this follows a downgrade of Ghana's credit rating, as you've heard, from B to B minus, with a negative outlook for the economy by ratings agency Fitch. Dr. Sapra tells Joy Business the implication of the downgrade on the economy could be very dire.
We need to find a way to get some inflows coming into the country. If government decide to borrow within the country, what is going to happen is we all know the crowding out effect. For capital market, it's not only the fundamentals they look at, they also look at the technical analysis. So two main issues are happening in the country on technical analysis, which gives a very not bright future for the country. One is the fight on the e-levy. So if you are an investor and you are doing your analysis on the technical side, it gives a signal that revenue is going to be a challenge.
All right.
Government, in all its projections, they have not mentioned that they are going to do anything about expenditure, which I support what the former minister is saying, that we should look at our expenditure.
Okay.
The capex that we have mentioned to do them in the year, would we have the money to do it? This Bankers Fund, how much have we put in that one? So these are the issues that we face as a country. And investors on the capital market that I've mentioned, the technical analysis, they do it more than the fundamental analysis.
Sure.
So if the finance minister is saying that our fundamentals are good, what is driving the issue on Fitch is on the technical side.
Away from that, a former Chief Operations Officer for Enterprise Life Insurance, C.C. Bruce Jr., is calling on insurance companies in the country to remain disciplined if they are to penetrate the informal sector. According to him, it requires the right attitude. He spoke to Joy Business at the 20th anniversary celebration of Enterprise Life Insurance.
20th anniversary celebrations was to commemorate the successes and achievements of the company over the past 2 decades, whilst preparing it for the challenges of the future. Here is the former Chief Operations Officer for Enterprise Life Insurance, C.C. Bruce Jr.
When we started, there was not too much focus on life insurance. But I must say that the gains and achievements of Enterprise Life in the past 20 years have given some significance to life insurance. And most companies now have very solid life insurance operations. So currently the operational environment is very competitive, and life insurance is a product you cannot do without. Well, the informal sector has always been a very difficult nut to crack. And it's an area, I must say, in the past 10 years, we have made, as an industry, we have made real gains into that industry. It started with the regulator introducing specific regulations for the informal microinsurance, which lowered the bar for selling to that.
The company pledged to remain Ghana's foremost life insurance firm with an above-market performance. Here is Senior Manager in charge of Human Resource, Jifa Romana Mensah.
We started the journey last year where we celebrated our clients without whom we would not have been in business. We also celebrated our staff, and today is where we are having our Thanksgiving to thank God for how far He has brought us. The God factor is one of our key pillars, and we believe that giving thanks to God for how far He has brought us is prudent, which is why we are having our Thanksgiving today. Considering that we have just clocked 20 years, we believe that the years ahead will be much better, much bigger. We are the #1 life insurance company in Ghana, and we believe that we want to continue on that tandem and continue giving life insurance solutions to our clients and our partners.
Over the past 2 decades, the company has received several awards and honors in recognition of its commitment to deliver excellent services to all stakeholders.
That'll be all for business, but we'll leave you with a summary of international business news. Do stay with us.
Hello and welcome to the sports segment live here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oriku Wampofo. We're just about 24 hours away from Ghana's most important game at the Africa Cup of Nations, and Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf has backed the team to reach the knockout stage of the competition despite a shaky start. Ghana lost 1-0 to Morocco before throwing away a 1-0 lead to draw with Gabon. The four-time African champions must beat Comoros on Tuesday to stand any chance of making it to the last 16. Mustafa Yusuf believes Ghana would, at the end of the day, beat Gabon, so Ghanaians should remain patient.
I wish the Blasters well, and I'm also using this opportunity to call on Ghanaians to be patient with the team. So far, you can see what is happening. The big teams, even the last champions, are also struggling. Algeria is also struggling. Most of the teams are the big teams as far as African Cup is concerned, are not doing well. So we should be patient with our team and let the team focus and pray and support them, and so that they can deliver tomorrow for us. The most important thing is they qualifying to the next stage. And I'm very hopeful that they will qualify.
Well, we'll be right here to be giving you all the analysis and updates on how that game goes. It starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow, and there'll be live commentary of that on Joy 99.7 FM. But speaking of the Africa Cup of Nations, host Cameroon cemented top spot in Group A after drawing 1-1 with Cape Verde earlier today. The Indomitable Lions took the lead through Vicente Abubakar, who drilled home his 5th goal of the tournament after 39 minutes. Cape Verde equalized 8 minutes after the break as halftime substitute Gary Rodriguez stylishly flicked home. Well, that is one Africa Cup of Nations currently going on in Cameroon. There's another Africa Cup of Nations ongoing in Ghana, and it kicked off today. That's the 2022 edition at the Theodosia Oko Hockey Stadium. My colleague Benaya Elom was there and filed this report.
The opening ceremony for the Hockey African Cup of Nations took place in Accra at the Theodosia Oko Hockey Pitch. The occasion was graced by opening remarks made by the Minister for Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, and the President of the Ghana Hockey Association, Ben Kedi Asante. According to the Sports Minister, Ghana hosting a tournament like the AFCON will help build the country economically.
Such tournaments economically, apart from building the athletes themselves, but economically too, is also contributing to the development of economy, because a lot of people are coming here. The entire African continent is here, and you can see the enthusiasm here. People are coming here, and they are going to the hospitality industry is going to benefit, because, and also aside preparing ourselves to be able to get ready for the 13th African Games.
The president of the Ghana Hockey Association also spoke to Joy News. According to him, the association will need more funding to help take Ghana hockey to the next level.
And it's not just relying on our governments. We should also try and partner private and public sector, corporate sector, to be able to help us with this. I think it's important that, like Ghana Hockey did, we look for sponsorship from both the private sector and the public sector. And that's why you see some semblance of development, at least on the infrastructure side, as you see today.
Team Ghana, who will be competing with 8 other countries, kicked off their tournament with Uganda. After 4 quarters, the spoils were shared as the game ended 1-1. In the women's division, Ghana faced Team Nigeria in their first game of the tournament. After 4 quarters of entertainment, the game ended in a 2-2 draw. Head coach of the Ghana female national team was impressed with her team's performance and believes they can make it to the finals.
We are very optimistic that after this game we will emerge the winners, and inshallah we'll go to the World Cup and then the rest of the tournament ahead of us.
In the men's division, Ghana are in Pool B with Egypt, Nigeria and Uganda. For the women, Team Ghana are also in Pool B with Kenya, Nigeria and Zambia. Benaya Elom, Dafiamekpo, Joy Sports.
Well, before we wrap up, there was a virtual edition of the FIFA Best Awards, and let's just quickly take you through the happenings. The main one is Robert Lewandowski winning the award for a 2nd consecutive year, and this was the women's best player. That's Alexia Putellas also winning that award. Edward Mendy finally gets some reprieve, beating Donnarumma to that award, and Lamela, his wonderful Rabona flick in the North London derby, being adjudged as the best goal. Thomas Tuchel of Chelsea continues his incredible year for the club, winning the best male coach. And then Emma Hayes also won the women's best coach after leading Chelsea to that domestic treble. And here is the lineup for the men's team of the year. It's a 3-3 for formation, very attacking team there. But that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For those of you on Joy Prime, the news continues right after this break here on the Joy News channel.
And beautiful Becky is here with the very latest in the world of showbiz. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Ernest.
Good to have you.
Good to have you.
I love
too.
entertainment on Mondays because you bring us up to speed on whatever we missed during the weekend and more.
Yes. But let's start with Dinah Hamilton. I haven't seen her the whole of this year, and I caught up with her earlier this morning, and she's been talking about...
Your favorite Dinah Hamilton.
Yeah.
Our favorite, I should say.
Everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite.
So she's been talking about her 2021, how it went for her. She's been recapping, what happened back in 2021.
Okay.
And expectations for 2022, what she has up her sleeves, what else she's up to. Dinah Hamilton, right here.
I want to let everyone know that you deserve to be in 2022. That's why you're here. And so greater things are about to happen. But we have to be grateful to God for 2021, for what he did for all of us, the gift of life, every opportunity he brought our way, the fact that we didn't miss those opportunities. For me personally, I'm just grateful for the gift of life, the gift of family, the gift of ministry, the gift of every song that God blessed me in the year with.
Let's move to 2022, your expectations for 2022. You've already started, your thing. You've been here, you've been there, going to churches, ministering. I'm sure you've written a lot of songs that will be released this year. Dinah Hamilton Experience, now Awake Experience, is coming up. What are we expecting this year?
Oh, we can plan, but it's God that will execute and let it come to pass. But yes, we have planned. We have planned. We've written songs. We're in the studio. We have released a Radiya, which is doing amazing. And then Awake Experience of Dinah Hamilton is coming on the 13th of February in Accra and the 20th of February in Kumasi. Promises to be a great night. If you've ever been to Experience, you know that the present is always better than the previous, which means 2022 is just going to be super amazing. Obviously, we've changed venues.
Yeah, I was going to ask you why. I mean, you had to move it. The Perez Dome is huge.
Woman of faith, everybody. But
when you meet her, ask her if she wants to be a preacher of a sort sometime in the future.
That's what she's doing with the music.
Yeah, I know she's preaching the gospel with the music, but preach the word.
Stand on the pulpit.
Yeah, because when she speaks, I don't know, but
you're in the spirit.
I hear something else.
I see you. I feel the spirit right.
All right, Becky, what more do you have?
Let's the Black Stars, are they winning tomorrow? What's happening with the Black Stars?
Well, we've got to win our game tomorrow, because if we don't, then we'll be left to a lot of maths, hoping that others lose and that kind of thing.
So strictly we have to win.
We just
tomorrow.
have to win, and I guess our chances will be brighter.
Okay, so I'm bringing back this conversation I had with Langabell back in 2019.
Okay.
Where I was talking about the fact that Ghana has never won the AFCON for over 48 years. When Ghana won the first or the AFCON Cup, he was 20 years old. Langabell is now 55 years old, and we haven't won that, AFCON. He is a former drummer for the Black Stars, and we've been having this conversation, timeless conversation with him. For the word so sweet, Langabell. But what kind of music do you guys, as the chief drummer, what kind of music or what kind of entertainment do you provide for the Black Stars to ginger them to work harder to bring this cup back home? Can you give us an idea of how things work?
We have some fantastic music when it's the music of the moment in this country, where Ubeti Boboli Bobo.
Okay.
Ubeti Boboli Bobo.
The players like that song?
Yeah, fantastic.
Wow.
Ubeti Boboli Bobo. Ubeti Boboli Bobo.
But you know that it's a gospel song?
Yes. Sausu, Saudao, Dabe Ghana by Bobeti Boboli Bobo.
Okay.
And the last music when the players like Kayo Bobo, hey, Kayo Bobo, Obile da Tony chele fofo, ono ko mi nyagazo, ono ko mi hu. who ono ko mi who gaga ono go mi ho akewo ga ye lo akewo ga ye won Ghana bi enche wo lo akewo ga ye won wo ke kapu baba lo akewo ga ye won. Thank you for the words so sweet. My name is Joseph Langabe, King of Medusa Touch. We'll be back.
Oh, King of Medusa Touch.
Yeah,
What's
man.
that?
You know, everything's got to check into the downstairs, right?
Okay, so what happens if, obviously I'm positive that we'll bring the cup home, but anything can happen. What happens if this year we don't bring the cup home?
Becky, you know that nobody will go to the sea and say that I won't bring fish.
Of course.
You understand? Everybody will say that I'm going to bring the fish.
Okay.
And nobody will go to ring to say that I'm going to fall down. He know that he's going to fall down somebody down. But if the blow go to your joy and you fall down, that is a firing squad for you.
Okay.
You understand me? No, this I cannot sit here to say that we cannot bring the cup. Definitely, everybody is come to the tournament make sure that is sending the cup away. The German leagues, you have to do something better for this our Ghanaian footballers. When you talk negative to the players, it goes to them because when they hear, they cannot sleep because they have families. They have family, they have children, they have brothers, they have sisters, they have everything in this country. But if you have bombasted them there, maybe one of the family or one of the wife will call them, Charlie, come and see how Ghanaians are insulting you people. You see, when it happens so, Becky, the player himself will feel bad.
Yeah.
The spiritual or the spirits, you can go inside the tournament, you see that one or it's past and gone.
Okay.
You understand me?
Okay, so it's basically negative comments.
That's it.
Brings them down, brings their spirits down.
That's it.
It demoralizes them.
Fantastic.
That's Joseph Langaville for you.
Essentially,
So he didn't go this year?
No, he didn't go this year.
And I think it's because government stopped funding, these cheer groups, support groups. But we have to find a way of getting them there because they need some support.
Yeah, they should.
Thank you for the word so sweet.
Thank you, please.
Thank you, Becky, for bringing us the latest in the world of showbiz. And that's your showbiz dose for today on Joy News Prime. We have some stories for you after this break. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, a 26-year-old man has been stabbed to death at Kochi in the Echuma Kwaoma district of the Ashanti region following a brawl in an alleged sale of narcotics. Nana Boakye was allegedly stabbed in the chest for failing to sell marijuana to a suspected drug addict in the area known as Sharif. Now, residents later lynched Sharif in a mob action.
After being stabbed, Nana Boakye went down on his knees with blood oozing from his chest on the streets of Kochi. The aggrieved residents left Nana Boakye unattended as they chased Sharif to lynch him at Jordan Junction, Kochi. 2 other persons attacked and injured are currently receiving treatment at Gary Marvin Hospital at Kochi. A resident, George Arthur, narrated what he saw.
The chance boy back friend Boakye. The Sheriff. Now Sheriff ni ubi a nukuri na say na adwene nhyeda enye papasa.
A boy named Boakye and another called Sharif. Sharif is not mentally stable. Some people at the Reed base here sacked him when a scuffle ensued between him and them. They again followed him home to come beat him up. Boakye, who was stabbed, was holding an iron rod, hit Sharif with it. Sharif in response stabbed Boakye with the dagger he was holding. The boys then chased Sharif and lynched him.
Love News visited the alleged Reed base where the fight broke out. This uncompleted building in the middle of the town has pieces of smoked cigarette and empty alcoholic sachet littered. Sources say an average 100 guys frequent this joint. The place was, however, empty at the time of our visit. Father of the deceased, Nana Boakye, insists his son is a carpenter and not a dealer in narcotics. Here is Onya John.
nti ono zo mo kasa asem no sa boy no am so kum no na busuafo na head kasa asem na to no so.
The family of the guy who stabbed the other is deliberately telling lies.
Kasa na mo kan news no pay. And so entisa ono me ba no emu ho no oda. Emu ho no wote. Nti wo ba no na ba o mesi minim se bia wo hia na odis ka no ewo no.
Spokesperson of Nana Boache's family, Ejodro, is however not disputing the allegations.
I stay with the guy. I have not seen my nephew selling weed before.
The family house of Sharif was empty. A close source says the deceased mother and father left the house for the fear of being lynched by the angry youth. The Kumasi Central Police Command is currently investigating the issue as the bodies of the deceased have been deposited at the morgue.
Yesterday, in the evening around 6 p.m., the District Police Command had information that there was a dead body lying at the Sea Upside Educational Complex at Kochi. So the police proceeded to the area and identified the body as Nana Boache, about 28 years, with sharp wounds in the chest. So they invited the crime scene team to the scene. They did whatever they were supposed to do and then conveyed the body to the Komfo Teaching Hospital morgue.
In barely 24 hours, former Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Kezia Latu-Forson will be called upon by an Accra High Court to respond to the charge of causing financial loss to the state. The Attorney General says Dr. Forson's role in the purchase of ambulances by the John Mahama administration resulted in the loss. Dr. Forson was today joined by a number of his colleagues in Parliament as he made his first appearance in court. Court correspondent Joseph Akable reports.
Dr. Latu-Forson was joined in court by a number of his colleagues in Parliament, including the Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, MP for Elembele, Emmanuel Amakufibua, among others. And the Minority Chief Whip says, as far as they are concerned, they believe that he is being intimidated with the aim of weakening the resolve of the minority to hold government accountable.
Well, I mean, it's nothing more than vindictiveness, trying to intimidate the minority out of their difficulties. But this is not going to change anything. In fact, it makes us even more resolute. Because we know that, oh, okay, the game is to intimidate, to frustrate, and to think that they can weaken our spirit. No, they can't. In fact, they are rather strengthening and gluing us together. Because you will draw speakers this thing, you are bringing Latu-Forson to court, you are charging Dominic Enyini because of Zuarungu market. That has to do with this assembly. You are bringing Kwesi, criminalizing him when he wrote a letter to electoral commission before he filed. You are charging Akotia MP. You know, you can just see the frustration. And it's so shameful that they forget that there's a democracy. And unfortunately, this is being led by so-called learned.
So as far as
for now we are concerned, no, but believe me, they are rather strengthening us because now they are making us even glued together. Now we know that every one of us is in danger. So it's better we glue together. And I can tell them they can choose to withdraw all the security that follow all the 137 of us. They can choose to even take all our salary because they think they are in the executive. But believe me, it is rather going to strengthen us. But they remember, nothing lasts forever.
In terms of your numbers in Parliament, I mean, this could potentially, there'll be court dates.
Oh, I mean, I can bet you that he will always be in Parliament first before he will come to the court. That one we can show you that. He will always be in Parliament before because he's still the representative of his people. He's not going to neglect that responsibility to be in court. He will always be in Parliament before he comes to court. So it is for the court to decide what time they will sit so that he'll be able to participate, play his role as the representative of the people. I don't think any of them is more important than the other. Yeah, so he will represent his people before he comes to court.
The AG's office had earlier issued a statement indicating that the prosecution of the MPs as a result of crimes that are alleged to have taken place and not the case that they intend to intimidate the minority front. The case itself did not come off because one other accused person, Seth Amenema, did not show up in court. He is a former chief director at the Ministry of Health. We understand that he has a condition that requires that he seeks medical attention, and so he was not present in court, and so the case was adjourned to the 18th of January 2022, and so that is when the charges will be formally read against the MP. He'll be given the opportunity to respond. Then afterwards, the issue of bail will be discussed. Reporting for Joy News on the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
The quest to avert the recurrence of the tragedy which claimed the lives of 6 KG children in 2017 has revived the communal labor spirit among residents of Bremanjamra in the central region. As work progresses at the community DA basic school site under the Multimedia Group's classroom project, dozens of community members who have committed to providing labor in support of the project are honoring their word to ensure the timely completion of the 3-unit classroom block. There's more in the following report.
Led by their chiefs and elders, the local assembly, dozens of the community members converged at the construction site to dig the foundation for work to start. While the men dug for the foundation works, mixed concrete and molded blocks, the women fetched water among doing other auxiliary jobs to ensure progress of each day's work on site. A total of 51,000 Ghana cedis has been raised from a target of 155,000 Ghana cedis for 2 different classroom projects. 80% of materials needed for work to begin at the Bremanjamra site has been assembled out of the initial 51,000 Ghana cedis mobilized. With the help of an excavator and a tipper truck, the laterites required for the molding of the hydroform blocks were moved to site on the 30th of December 2021. Other materials including cement, 6-inch blocks, sand, chippings, iron rod and wood have also been assembled. Residents could not hold back their joy. They commended the Multimedia Group for committing to helping them rebuild the dilapidated school block.
I'm a assemblyman in my Jamla electoral area. Now, sending another nippon for it. You are a monfire school. I didn't come facility Methodist one. I say I'm multimedia for to one moment. They have come to site. I'm the material they go on.
I am the assemblyman for the Jamra electoral area. The Multimedia Group has come to site with the needed materials to build a school for us. We are grateful to Multimedia for the project. We hope it is completed on time.
I am very excited after seeing the materials that will be used to construct the new school block.
The project engineer and hydroform technology expert Samuel Kofi Adenyega is optimistic. All things being equal, work will be completed on schedule.
If we don't have or we don't face any harsh weather conditions, latest by 1st week of February, we should be done with the project. So we are grateful. I mean, we are all supporting. And then those of you who are also bringing in the support, we urge that continue bringing them because we need it now to complete it within the estimated time.
Progress of work requires additional support, both in cash and in kind. The Jamrahene Nana Fusu III, expressing appreciation for work done so far, emphasized the need for more support.
I stand here on behalf of the Jamra people that we are so grateful to them for helping us in this manner. We will continue to ask humbly to everybody to also come and help us.
The classroom project is supported by the Israeli Embassy, Forestry Commission, the Planned City Extension Project, DBS Roofing Sheets, and all who have so far donated to support the project. The Multimedia's Classroom Project is brought to you in partnership with the Star Ghana Foundation and the West Africa Civil Society Institute under the Giving for Change project, with funding from the Dutch Foreign Affairs Ministry. The Classroom Project, promoting social justice through philanthropy. Amafa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli for Joy News. Brima Jamra.
And your donations are still welcome. You can call the front desk of Joy FM and you'll be helped on how to donate to our various platforms. You can also donate in kind if you wish to do so. That's it for our package this evening. Many thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. We have many stories there. I'm Ernest Mino.